Hello, everybody. This is the DBC Community Show. My name is Michael, and I'll be your host. And we'll be speaking with the various members of the Dragonboat community that make Canada such a rich hub for the sport we love. This is a special episode for me because this is the only guest I didn't already know prior to having them on the show. Linda Kuska is a longtime member of Rowbust, a breast cancer survivor team out of London, Ontario. Her energy and enthusiasm for the sport and all the positive it can bring to the BCS community is absolutely palpable throughout the conversation. I highly suggest you give this episode a listen, even if you're not necessarily involved with a breast cancer survivor team. The nuggets about how to balance a club between inclusiveness and competitiveness, those alone are worth the price of admission. It was a delight to get to know her, so please join us as we get to know Linda Kuska. Linda Kuska, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, as I do with all of these podcasts, I'm going to start off at the very beginning. Let's tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved into the sport of Dragonboat.
Well, it all came from a place where I had no idea what I was getting myself into. In 1999, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and as a young mother, you go through your treatments and whatever you need to do. And I was working as a registered nurse, and I happened to see an ad in the London Free Press about a family doctor here in London, Dr. Annette Richard, wanting to start a Dragonboat team for breast cancer survivors. And I thought, well, I'm a breast cancer survivor. Hadn't really thought of myself that way before. And to call and see if you wanted to be participant. So I called and I went to that first meeting to see what it was all about. I had no idea what dragonboating was, as well as probably about the 50 other women that were there that had no idea what dragonboating was. And the Chinese Association was there and did a little presentation and showed us what it was. And 25 of us stuck around and we became Rowbust. So that was in November of '99, and I've been doing it full on ever since.
Wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's see, where do I want to start? I'm going to start with the fact that so you mentioned you're a registered nurse in orthopedics.
Yeah.
Do you work in a hospital setting, or is it more of a private setting?
I do. No, I have worked at London Health Sciences Center for the last 37 years.
Okay.
And for the last 21 of those years, I've been in orthopedics. But before that, I worked in pediatric oncology and the cardiac care unit. So I've had a kind of vast career at LHSC, which has been awesome. And after 37 years here, I'm just kind of thinking about that retirement thing, probably in the next couple of years.
All right. So my first question, because actually is something that you will find out when the podcast will all go up online. I have another person that I interviewed, Marcella Chung in Toronto. She's also a registered nurse, and I think even to my own teams over here in Montreal, we have quite a few other nurses, and the constant challenge working with dedicated athletes who are also dedicated nurses is shift work.
Yes.
You have.
I'm fortunate though. So
okay.
I work in an orthopedic clinic. So I work Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. So I have one of those coveted day jobs that not very many nurses have. So I worked my fair share of shift work years and years ago. But for the last 21 years, I've been a day nurse.
Okay. So
yeah,
you've been a day nurse for the last 21 years, and cancer happened about 17, 18 years ago, I believe.
No, cancer happened about 22 years ago.
22 years, okay.
Yeah.
So the discovery of Dragonboat and wanting to get more and more involved into it was never a challenge in terms of fitting it with work in the way that traditionally most nurses do.
Right. Yeah. I worked shift work initially, and when we first started dragonboating, so I had to miss a few little things, but really I made it all work, because if you want something bad enough, you make it work. So, I like my nursing career, but I also liked being active and I liked being on the boat. And my kids were just small at that time as well. They were only 6 and 9. And thankfully I have a very supportive husband who kind of, made sure that I could get to everything I needed to get to, and it all just kind of worked.
That is actually a perfect segue into the next question I had, which was, so you've been heavily involved in your Dragonboat community, and we'll get to that later on. You have a normal 8 to 4 job, so that's your usual 35 hours a week. You're also a mother, and so I was going to ask, how do you find time for all of this? So on one hand, you have your husband that, as you said, was very, very supportive. I know from other couples that oftentimes it's a lot easier when both members are involved in the sport. So my first question is, does he do Dragonboat? And if not, does he do other sports that make him understand the level of involvement that you have? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, he's always been a very competitive person too. So, but his competitiveness was always in soccer and hockey. So, but for my competitiveness, he likes being on the sidelines cheering me on, and he also likes being the baggage handler when we're traveling. But when the kids were small, they were 6 and 9 when I was first diagnosed, and they were into all of the ordinary stuff with soccer practice and soccer games, and he coached them and all that kind of stuff. He made sure I got to my Dragonboat practice, and so it all kind of worked. I'm sure I missed a few things that when the kids were growing up, but I tried to get to absolutely everything I could. And now he's my biggest fan on the side of the water, and he's cheering as loud as anybody. You can always hear his voice when we're in the boat and on the water. And my kids, who are now 28 and 30, are have their own lives and have always been very supportive of everything that I do as well. They've all been in a Dragonboat. I've all dragged them into the Dragonboat with me, obviously for one thing or another. But I'm the only one that does it competitively.
All right, but I think still the fact that, like you said, like he's been heavily involved in soccer and hockey. I think that still helps with being able to understand that fiery competitiveness and what that demands, and that I've unfortunately seen other couples where only one out of the 2 members really gets it, and so the other one almost like gets jealous of the amount of dedication that the athlete is trying to put into the sport. So
and I also have to say that I'm part of a breast cancer team, the Rowbust team, and I always try, even though I have that competitive spirit in me, and I like pushing myself to the max, and I like working out, and I like that's just kind of my personality. I like doing all that, but I also understand the camaraderie of the breast cancer movement as well, and the recreational side, if you want to call it that, or just getting in the boat and paddling with your breast cancer sisters. And so I also understand that side of it, and I enjoy that side of it as well. But honestly, you get any team on a start line and you're waiting for that gun to go off, I don't care who you are, like everybody wants to go.
I completely get that, and indeed, from the times when I was coaching more locally competitive teams instead of internationally competitive teams, you're completely right that no matter what has happened up to that point, once you're on the line, like it completely engulfs you. And
exactly,
we're gonna get. I'm very interested in this whole like duality between the competitive side of the sport and the community side of the sport. We will get to that. For now, I want to stick on the competitive side, because as I read up more about the history of Rowbust and your involvement with it, one thing that I saw is Rowbust's domination of Canadian national championships in the BCS category. And then I read up a little bit more and found out that you were heavily involved in even getting the BCS category into
the Dragonboat Nationals.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about how that came about.
Well, we never really even thought that was kind of a possibility, but in 2008, we had a coaching change, and our coaches came from the competitive side of mixed dragon boating.
Okay.
They were in Toronto at CSDC,
Mhm.
and they live locally in London, and they had retired from competitive dragon boating and were kind of looking into getting into coaching.
Mhm.
So they became our coaches in 2008, and they had been watching us for a few years, so they knew who we were. So they just kind of asked the question why the breast cancer division wasn't at nationals, and in 2008 it wasn't. So we kind of, I think probably 2009 we asked that question, and Chloe's all about inclusiveness and getting as many people as you can into nationals, so she was all over it. So in 2010, we kind of stirred that interest a little bit, and we talked to Chloe about it. 2010 was the first time they introduced the breast cancer division at nationals, and that was in Whistler. And so Rowbust went to that, and we sent 2 crews, and we were the only 2 crews there. So
Okay.
we won it, obviously, but so we had 2 crews there. That one was a little bit more competitive than the other. We kind of combined. We didn't have quite enough members to do 2 crews, so Dragons Abreast from Toronto joined us, and we took some of the members with us and kind of introduced them into that side of the sport as well. And it was just such an amazing experience. The training leading up to nationals, the fitness testing, even though you dread it when you think you're going to do it, it's just the most exhilarating thing to do. And getting out on that water when you know that there's all these other competitive teams out there and they're watching you do your thing as well. And it was a really, really awesome experience. So from 2010 on, BCS has been part of the Canadian Nationals.
Mhm.
And, it's been struggle over the years to try to get the BCS teams to participate in it.
Mhm.
And most of the times it's only been, maybe us in Toronto or us and a couple of other teams that have come out. And then it's just kind of gradually taking off. It's taken almost 10 years to try to get the BCS division to kind of get in there and participate a lot. And then Regina, we had quite a few breast cancer teams there again. And then unfortunately, when the club cruise were supposed to be in France last year, we were going to have the most breast cancer teams at that club cruise at any time before that. And it's too bad it got canceled, because it would have been an amazing experience. But
it probably would have.
Yeah, we'll try again. But yeah, it's 2010 was the first, and we've been at everyone since then.
I noticed that what is it? So from going to nationals, and then nationals, well, like for many people, nationals is a very important, but also a necessary step towards club cruise.
Exactly.
And if I did my research correctly, and you can correct me if I'm not, Ravenna is the first time that you guys will go to a club crew championship.
Yeah.
And
So we'd see Mike Haslam every now and then, and we would bug him, or I'd email him and ask him, why the breast cancer division wasn't in the club cruise.
Mhm.
And he just kind of brushed me off, and our coach would ask the exact same question, why? And I don't think he really took us seriously, and but we're pretty persistent, and we had been doing the Canadian Nationals for quite a few years before that, and our team, was right up there with a lot of the women's times, and so we didn't think there was any reason why the breast cancer division shouldn't have been recognized at the club crew championship. So finally in 2013, he agreed to have it in the 2014 Ravenna. in Italy. And I think he did it just to kind of shut us up. But we had quite a few breast cancer teams there from all over the world. It was amazing, between the standard boat and the small boat. And Rowbust did quite well there. And you go into those racing other countries and you have no idea how you're going to come out, right? Like, I remember finishing the 2K and it was one of the roughest waters that we had paddled on in a long time, and boats were losing their way or tipping over, and you finish the 2K and you have no idea where you've ended up. And that was our first race, and we won it, and it was just the most amazing experience. And I remember the 200-meter race. That was probably my best race I've ever had in my life. It just felt like we were flying down that race course. And I remember, I don't know if you were there or not, but they play Queen, We Are the Champion, for the every time everybody got a medal. So I remember sitting on the start line, and you're focused. You've got your breathing down. You're focused. You're looking straight ahead. You're trying to concentrate on what you're doing, and I can hear We Are the Champion playing in the background because somebody was getting their medals. And we did that 200-meter race, and it felt like we flew down that race course, and it was the most amazing feeling ever. And I can picture our coaches were on the land right ahead of us, so we were racing towards our coaches. And the look on their faces when we finished and we won that race, oh, I'll never forget it in my life. It was amazing. But at the end of that, once we finished all of our races, we were up on the podium, and Mike Haslam came over to me and he put the medal around my neck and he gave me a hug and he said, "Thank you for being so persistent." And it was just awesome. It was just so, I still get goosebumps when I think about that race. It was so much fun.
It clearly still stirs something up in you.
Yes.
I want to ask specifically because we are just getting to know each other, so I might as well disclose a little bit of myself. My involvement in the sport, where I have put the most of my energy, is in the under 24 category. So university aged athletes, and one of the struggles of that division is because everybody's like old enough that it's hard to ask your parents for money to go travel and compete, but you're not yet sufficiently an adult to have the savings necessary to go and travel. And so oftentimes one of the issues with choosing to go into club cruise is, will we have enough people that have the money to go there? And what if we go there and the only other teams that show up are other Canadian teams, right? And so what I want to ask is, so I noticed that, like you said, Ravenna was going to be the first time that breast cancer was going to be involved at Club Cruise. And immediately on the first go, there was a fair number of teams, and it wasn't just Canadian teams.
No.
I'm curious, did that happen on its own? It's just like the doors were open and we crossed our fingers and it worked out, or was there like the same way that you had some that you Rowbust had an involvement in nudging Mike Haslam into including it? Was there also involvement in nudging teams like, hey guys, he finally did it, come join the party?
Yeah, there was. And Dragonboat Canada, of course, helped with that, and the IDBF helped with that. So the IBCPC, they all everybody kind of got the word out that this was happening. And especially when it's in Europe, there's so many teams that are so it's easier for the teams to travel in Europe. It's hard for them to come to North America, so it was easy for them to come, and it was really an interesting thing. We didn't have as many when we went to Australia, but then you get the Australian teams and the New Zealand teams, and they're fun to race as well. And so it was. We did have a little hand in trying to recruit some teams for there, but I don't remember really going after a whole lot of teams. I think it was just like cross your fingers and hopefully they show up, and teams registered. So it was a great experience.
That I'm happy to hear that throughout all of this, it's only, from what I can tell, grown the interest and the desire to continue pushing this.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your team. So you're located in London, Ontario. That's right.
Great.
As far as I'm aware of, in London, there is no there's no dedicated indoor paddling site. Is that correct?
No, we if we're going to paddle in the wintertime, then we usually drive to Welland and use the facilities there.
Right.
Yeah, we do have a gym that sponsors us here, though. So we do, we sit at the side of the pool and we do some paddling technique with our coaches at the side of the pool at our gym. And we do our dry land training in there in the winter time as well. So we are lucky to have been sponsored by this gym for the last 20 years. So.
Okay.
Yeah, they give us free memberships and they've been absolutely awesome. Movati Athletic has been really great.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, no, that is significant. I guess that plays into a little bit what I want to ask is like how do you keep the team motivated during the winter? And I guess that exactly being able to continue having that contact during the winter time.
Yeah.
Even if it's not necessarily in a paddling kind of scenario, but still coming together to do dry land training.
Right. Yeah. The summertime's easy because we're always together anyway. But the wintertime, so Movati gives us free memberships from November until the end of April. So a 6-month free membership, and we're able to use any of their locations. And then we actually get together twice a week. Well, we used to before COVID. We get together twice a week for one time for pool training. So we sit at the side of the pool and we do paddling technique. And then we also do group fitness training with a instructor at Movati as well. And then you can go to the gym as much as you want to with your membership. So our coaches keep us very, very motivated. And then there's lots of other things. We have a lot of retired people, so they go out walking. I do a running group that we go out a couple of times a week and run. And so we're a pretty motivated group. So, we like to keep active and keep going.
That, again, wonderful segue into the next sort of group of questions that I want to ask. And I'll be entirely honest when I say that a large part of the reason why I want to ask these questions is for my own gains in helping in brainstorming ways that I can help with the development of our own breast cancer team over here. So you're from what I gather, Rowbust is multiple teams. That's right. The club as a whole has a fairly big membership.
Yeah, we are one team, but we have about 70 members.
Okay.
We train all together. So we do everything together. We do our poolside training together. We do our on water training together. Even if we're training for nationals or club crews, those who aren't even trying out for those type of teams, they still do the same type of training that we do. Okay. Just once we get closer to those important festival dates, then the crew that's going to nationals or going to club crews may train as a group a little bit more and maybe add an extra practice. So instead of 3 times a week, we do a 4-day, we do an extra 4th practice in a week. But I have to say, our team, even though not all of us want that competitive feel and some don't want to try out for nationals or that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They still love how our coaches train all of us, and they still like to be pushed when they're on the water, and they still like doing what we do. Obviously maybe they won't put as much emphasis onto it, but they still work really, really hard, and so it's fun to train with them, and it keeps us together as a group as well, because you don't want to have there's so many of us, and you don't want to be the teams of them and the other group. You still want to be together as a family. So it does keep us together with all of our training, and it keeps us together, and helps them understand what kind of training we actually go to, and if we have to push ourselves a little harder, and they're right behind us, pushing us hard, for all of our extra training. So it's a great relationship, and I have to say it's a hard one for a lot of teams to get their heads wrapped around, because sometimes there's the little jealousies of some teams are being treated better than others or differently than others, and we really try really hard not to be that way. We really try to make sure that everybody feels included, and everybody, if they want to come out and practice, that they come out and practice. And our coaches, don't treat us like a survivor team. We hardly even talk about our breast cancer diagnosis. They treat us like athletes. So whether you're younger and want to push yourself, or older and you want to push yourself, or if you just want to come out and paddle and be out there recreationally, or be out there with getting some exercise, our coaches treat us the same no matter who you are. So it's just an amazing experience to be part of that kind of team that is so inclusive, and but you feel like you can do whatever you want. Like the sky's the limit, and you can dream as big as you want to dream.
I get a lot of this vibe, and you can expand on it. That this team is community focused first, and then competitive comes after.
Right. Yes, we are all about community, and we're a little city. Like London isn't that big of a city, so everybody knows who we are. So when you wear your Rowbust jacket out in the community and you're in the grocery store, they know who we are, and you can feel the whole community behind us. And that's probably why it's maybe a little easier for us to get sponsorship and get donations, and fill our golf tournament, and fill our Dragonboat festival, and when we go and compete internationally, whether it's at the participatory event, or whether it's at the club crew event, everybody knows what we're doing. So it's really a nice feeling to be able to do whatever you feel like you need, and be able to get it and feel respected, because you can do what you want.
How quickly did the team grow from the original 25 to the 70-ish that you have now, and to what would you attribute it?
It took a few years, and I'd have to say it was probably a good 10 years. We kind of stuck at that between 25 and maybe just under 40, too many for one crew, but not quite enough for two crews. And then once we started getting a little bit more, probably once we started nationals, and people kind of saw what we were all about, and we were getting some press here in London, and I think then, and we got a little bit more exposure through our local cancer clinic, and through just some support places around the city that would refer breast cancer survivors to our team, if they wanted something different, and wanted to get physically fit and be a survivor that way. And so we had a lot of referrals. So the one year, I think it was like in 2008 or 9, we had 17 new members in one season, and that was kind of the year that it exploded. And every year after that, we've gotten quite a few since then. So we've been at between 60 and 70 members for the last quite a few years now.
Has there I'll be completely honest when I say that I don't have the largest experience with coaching breast cancer survivor teams, although obviously anybody that's in the Dragonboat community will end up next to them in the periphery in some way or another. One thing that I've noticed is you can see that different teams have, obviously breast cancer connects everybody because that's a common point, but you'll still see like large gaps in age, for example, and
Yeah.
and it'd be a disservice uh, to forget the fact, to ignore the fact that age and athletic ability go together, and so
Yeah.
with that, it affects the competitive ability of the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said that your team for a long while was in that 25 to at best like just under 40 kind of range, and only now that it has really grown. Has there been any issues with age blend and uh, and managing people's competitive desires when you didn't yet have the luxury of being able to like sequester the competitive people on one side and the just for fun people on the other side, and
Yeah, it's, the age thing, we don't even really think about it too much because our oldest members, we have two of them, they're 76 and probably 77, probably pretty soon. But one of those are still on our national cruise, and she's been to every single world competition that we've been to. And she has the most competitive spirit. She's right up there with me, I tell you. But it's fun watching her, and yeah, you lose some of your strength as you get a little bit older, and but there's always a place for them in the boat. Our youngest member that we ever had was 27, and but I'd have to say probably our median age is around 50, 55, somewhere around there. But we don't even really think about age, honestly. Our team is and our coaches don't even really our coaches don't play into that as well. So you go into a boat, and whether you're beside somebody who's 20 years younger than you, you're all one team and you're all one family, and you pull just as hard as that person that's sitting beside you does, and because you don't want to let your teammate down. So whether you're 27 or you're 77, it doesn't really come into play too much in our minds. And even when we're doing our fitness testing for nationals or club crews to try to get a seat on that boat, it doesn't really matter your age. It's just your ability and and half of the time, it's what's in here. So if you have that positive attitude, and you have that spirit, and you have that can-do attitude, then that's the type of person we want in our boat.
First of all, wonderful answer, and second of all, I guess I almost feel like apologizing for insinuating whatever I did with my question, because, and I guess it's just how to say it betrays my background coming more from the competitive side of the sport, and sort of seeing involvement in the sport through the lens of like trying to find ways of being faster, right? And so I thank you for your answer, because it's a healthy reminder that my lens is only one of many different ways of being involved in the sport, and on top of that, despite not necessarily like having the same lens as I do, it still clearly gives great results. So yeah, I don't know how to end that, but yes, thank you for that point of view.
It's if you have a positive attitude and you really want it, and you're a team player, then that's what our coaches are looking for. Ability, yes, because they can always work on your technique and that. But if you have that attitude and your heart's in it, then you'll go far.
Wonderful. I want to zoom out a little bit and instead of focusing on your team specifically, more on breast cancer paddling as a whole. For those who don't know, and I don't think we've mentioned it yet, you're also involved with the IBCPC, the International Breast Cancer Paddling Committee. Is that right?
Yep.
And,
yep, I'm on the steering committee. Yep.
And reading up on their website, I found the 5 C's of breast cancer dragonboating. And so forgive me if I look a little bit off camera because I'm reading my notes. The 5 C's: cancer, competition, challenge, caring, and compassion. So with your wealth of experience in this community, what do these words mean to you? Why do you feel that those 5 words were chosen?
And I think so competition speaks for itself, but competition can be many different things. So competition can be recreational, it can be club crews. So it can be many different things that can be part of that. When you are diagnosed with cancer and you go through the treatments and you just want to be able to survive and get to the other side, and then you find this wonderful sport called dragon boating, and you find people who are like you, but we don't talk about it much because you just know that they're there if you need them. But it's just nice to feel fit and healthy and well after the diagnosis of breast cancer and going through your treatments. And thinking about your health journey all of the time, and doctor's appointments and surgeries and all that stuff. And it's just nice to be able to get in a boat and sit beside somebody who has been where you have been, but it doesn't matter. And you can feel free out on that water, and all of your cares just go away. So whether it's competition and the cancer and the caring, and it's just it just plays into your soul, and it just makes you a healthier person all around. Obviously it makes us healthier physically because of where we have come from and what you go through. Are definitely physically healthier than what you've ever been in your life. I know I am at almost 58 years old, and I'm probably in better condition than I was in my 30s. And but it's also good mentally. So it's you can have a crappy day at work, and yet you can have a crappy day at work and you get out on that boat, and all of your cares just go away, and everything's perfect. And I just think that what we've been through, the health struggles that breast cancer survivors have been through, that this just gives us that freedom to do what we want to do and be healthy at the end of the day.
Okay, recording is continuing. Okay, so yeah, thank you for your thoughts on this. I feel like I'm connecting this a lot with I read a paper by it's called "We're All in the Same Boat: A Review of the Benefits of Dragon Boat Racing for Women Living with Breast Cancer," a paper written in 2012. And some of the points that they brought up, I think you touched on. This idea, one of this is enhanced self-confidence and control of one's life.
Yes.
I can totally see that, where like breast cancer is the kind of, well, cancer in any kind of way is the kind of thing that makes you feel like you lost control of where your life was supposed to be heading. And so I can totally empathize with this idea that like through sport, feeling like you're taking back some sense of control.
Yes.
Another one was a sense of renewed fitness and health. So sort of claiming back your health after having it felt like it's ripped away from you through cancer. Opportunities to promote awareness of a full and enjoyable life post breast cancer. And the last one was feelings of camaraderie.
Yes.
This is in many ways, this sounds like just a different way of saying the same thing of the 5 C's of breast cancer paddling.
Yes, exactly.
do you like? What are your thoughts hearing these 4 bullet points?
It's exactly right. When you go through cancer treatment and you get that initial diagnosis of cancer, you have lost total control over your body, and you feel like it was disloyal to you, and then you're in the hands of the medical professionals, and you do whatever they tell you to do to stay alive. And then once you've done all that, and then you're kind of on your own, and you find dragonboating, and it just you can kind of get control of your health again. You can get control of your physical health and your mental health, and it's just as the IBCPC, their motto is exercise is medicine, and that is exactly true. It's the best kind of medicine there is when you can get out and get in that dragonboat and get healthy again, or go to the gym and get healthy again, or go for a run, or whatever you need to do to make yourself healthy.
Recording again. Okay. We alluded to this a little bit, I think, at the very beginning of the conversation. But I'll let's talk about it directly. What do you see as future hurdles to the sport of breast cancer paddling in particular?
Well, in the future hurdles, it's hard to say. The survivors will always find the Dragonboat teams. We never have a shortage of survivors wanting to participate. Right now it's COVID, but that's with everybody, and making sure that you can keep your momentum up post-COVID and when we're able to get back in the boats again. Right now, there's some of the teams are starting to want to be a little bit more competitive and try the nationals and the club crews, and as much as I love that, and that's what I love doing, you just need to make sure that teams are healthy when they do that as well. So you need to make sure, because not all survivor teams can do it well, and you need to make sure that if a survivor team is going to go to that next level, that the entire team is in support of that, and the entire team understands what that means, and that everybody feels like they're getting what they need out of that team. So you don't want to leave anybody on the dock. You want to make sure that everybody is able to get in the boat, whether you just want to go out and get some exercise or whether you want to be a little bit more competitive. So I can see that some of the breast cancer teams do want to become a little bit more competitive, but they just need to make sure that they do it smart and do it with everybody's feelings in mind, and make sure that everybody's aware of what it means when you're going to start doing that. And there can be a lot of hype when a breast cancer team starts going into that competitive edge, because the press always wants to talk about a team that's winning, right? And they want to talk to a team that's pushing themselves a little hard, but that's not what our teams are all about. They're about being together, and whether you just need to make sure that everybody's okay with what you're trying to do. So I think that's probably the most challenging thing that the survivors teams face. Is yes, they want to try to be a little bit more competitive, but they fail because not everybody is in support of that on the team. So I just need to make sure that the entire team is okay with it.
I feel like this is a recurring theme throughout today's conversation about exactly that, finding that balance between the desire to race higher and all that implies, and how to do that while still respecting, for what is for most people the original reason why they got into breast cancer paddling.
Right. Yeah. And you also have to respect all levels of paddling when you're a survivor. So I know
you have to respect the ones who want to just go out there and exercise, but you also need to respect those of us who like being a little bit more competitive. Because if you don't respect that side of it, then those of us who like competition we'll go to non-survivor teams to get that side of it. And that's not really fair either, because even though you have that competitive mind and you have that competitive spirit, you still want to be with your breast cancer team as well. So I think, people just need to make sure that they take a step back and make sure that everybody's needs are respected. And, we're all intelligent people, and, you have to think outside the box a little bit, and it can all work.
I totally recognize that, having known some paddlers who have moved from a breast cancer team to a traditional competitive team, and feeling torn about how like they have like these two sides that they would want to be able to do together, but like at some point one side feels stronger than the other, and you feel like you have to abandon one to be able to satisfy the other. It, like you said, it's not an easy thing to accomplish. I want you had mentioned something in passing, but I'd like to get back on it, because I suspect that this could be a useful tidbit for other teams out there. You mentioned that Rowbust had developed a relationship with some cancer care units, and that helped to create like a referral system. Is that correct?
We're actually kind of lucky. We have a lot of London is a kind of a university and medical city, so we actually have one of our Rowbust members is a radiation oncologist at our local cancer clinic here in London, and we also Rowbust organizes the Fanshawe Dragonboat Festival, and we do a paddling pledge program with our paddlers, and they raise money for our local cancer clinic, and we've raised almost $100,000 for our cancer clinic. So our team is well known within our cancer community anyway, because of the money that we've raised, because we've all been treated at the cancer clinic, because of our paddling member who is a physician there as well, and then there's lots of support within the support services within the City of London that knows us and works as a kind of a referral system for our team also, that if they see somebody that's a little bit more sports minded, that just wants to get healthy by exercise, then they will send them our way. So it's like I said, London's kind of a big enough city to get some sponsorship, but it's a small enough city that everybody knows who we are, and we are a medical and university city, so we have a lot of kind of medical professionals here that have heard of us or are part of us.
I think that the deep involvement in giving back to the greater cancer community of London, Ontario, I feel like that could be definitely something that I'm gonna brainstorm about for our own teams here, because I can totally see how the more you get involved in it, the more just the general cancer community is aware of your existence. And so exactly when somebody says sports and breast cancer, you'll be top of mind and automatically like, oh, have you heard of blah blah blah.
Yeah, and that's why we started the Fanshawe Dragonboat Festival actually at the beginning, because our community has been so good to us for all of these years, and we just wanted to kind of give back to our community. We didn't really start the festival in order to make money, but we wanted to give back to our community who had been so good to us, and it's just a large community festival that there's lots of workplaces and families that get teams together, and we train them in the 2 weeks before the festival, and they're like your kids when you send them out on the race day, and they're riding their bike for the first time, and it's a lot of fun. But we do this pledge program that the paddlers in our festival have the opportunity to raise some money for our local cancer clinic, since all of us have been treated at the cancer clinic, and whoever raises the most amount of money, they get free entry into the next year festival. So it's a win-win situation, and over the last 8 years we've raised almost $100,000 for our local cancer clinic. So it's it's been a great journey, and it also works for the cancer clinic, who has treated all of us.
That matches so well with what is it? So another person that I interviewed is actually one of my bosses, Matt Robert from 22 Dragons, and he's involved in our club mostly for helping to develop events. And when I asked him about what's something that he noticed in the events that keep on going, that year after year they have healthy participation, and it doesn't look like it's on any kind of tracks towards like slipping away and disappearing into the wind. The first thing that he came up with was when you have an event that does a really good job of keeping its purpose, its raison d'être, up front. So everybody is always reminded that participating in this Dragonboat event first and foremost helps to build this building, helps to buy this equipment, helps this community, and it makes it so that people want to participate, not just because like, oh, it's a good Dragonboat event and it fits in my competitive calendar, but really because there's something greater to it. And so like you mentioned, like the event was created not as a recruiting tool or as a money maker, but to give back. And but the better you do it, the longer it continues, the more your name gets out, and then like as a happy coincidence, you end up recruiting plenty of people anyways.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess my last question, because I want to continue on this little competition that you guys have built, is so you say that the team is very involved with the whole organization of the Fanshawe event, and helping to coach the local 2-week programs that will compete in the competition. I imagine that not everybody in a team knows how to steer or coach. Like so how do the various responsibilities come onto the team? How does everybody help out?
Oh, we are a well-oiled machine, I have to tell you. So our team runs this festival. We organize it. We volunteer at it. We recruit every single one of our family members to volunteer as well. So we have, even if you can't be out on the boat and coaching a community team or steering a community team, we have volunteers out there helping people park, making sure that they're getting where they need to be, doing all the safety checks, getting their life jackets and their paddles on them, getting them lined up, getting them where they're supposed to be. We are so organized, I have to tell you. So we do it for the 2 weeks every day for the 2 weeks before our festival. We train 9 teams a night, and plus we do our own training, and plus we work. So it's an exhausting 2 weeks before our festival, but it is so much fun, and the community teams absolutely love it. And they love, for 2 practices and the competition day, they get to be on that Dragonboat and having a blast. And it is the most fun. And at the end of that 2 weeks, you are totally exhausted, but it is exhilarating helping these community teams. And obviously it's fun having competitive teams when they come down and come to our festival too, but our little community teams, oh my gosh, they are so much fun. They are a blast. So we have all of our team volunteers at it. Make sure you've got that 2 weeks blocked off in your calendar. Our spouses are out there on race day and helping with all of the organization. It's a pretty well-run festival, I'd have to say.
Your enthusiasm is infectious, and I mean, like, never mind me putting this out there for the general Dragonboat community to listen to it. I am already brainstorming things that I would like to try to accomplish with our own breast cancer teams over.
Awesome. That's good.
So on that note, Linda, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Michael.